All right. Well, thank you everybody so much for joining us. Our very special guest is Lisa Gunshore. So first of all, my name is Deanna Hansen. I'm a certified athletic therapist and the founder of Fluid Isometrics and Block Therapy. I'm being joined by my nephew, Quinn Castellane, a lead block therapist and the VP of Block Therapy, and Lisa Gunshore, who I recently met probably 4 months ago, I think, through one of our block therapy or block therapists, Rachel Aberley. And since then, I am just so incredibly thrilled that we have connected. I have been a guest on Lisa's podcast 2 times. I'm even in her documentary, and I have also been part of her One Heart, One Earth platform, which is so incredibly exciting. I'm going to just pass it right over to you, Lisa, so that you can share all the incredible, amazing work that you're doing.
Oh my gosh. Well, first off, thank you guys so much. I'm really honored to be a guest on your platform. And thank you to Rachel who introduced us. She is such a bright light and such a gift. And so are you, Deanna. I mean, really, it's just been an honor to connect with you and to meet with you. I feel like you're just like another soul sister, honestly. And so it makes me so joyful. And to find block therapy, I mean, really, it was really what was next for me in my health journey. And so in fact, right now I'm like, oh, I really feel like I need some of that this morning. You could tell it's morning in Colorado. But anyways, so thank you very much for having me on here. It's just really an honor and to be able to share what we're doing, because we have some really exciting things happening this month that I think I want to talk about. But I think where I'll start is I'm a multi-generational psychic medium. So I've been doing that work since 2006, really probably since I was born, but with the public since 2006. And I've had a private practice where I've worked with clients all over the world, just working on our soul purpose and working on our genetic structures and practicing soul retrieval and things like that. And this year, come about end of February, I was kind of twiddling my thumbs, wondering what really I should be doing right now. And then the quarantine hit. And when that hit, I got this message. It was like a switch just flipped on. And it was like, okay, we need to hold space for this planet and really create a resource of light for each and every person who is part of this global awakening this year. I've been on my own healing journey for 20 years. And through that time, I've met incredible practitioners, incredible healers. I've read hundreds and hundreds of books. I've researched my own gifts, just researched how to heal myself. I went through 3 major health crises. I've lost 100 pounds through my spiritual journey. So it's just been one thing after another. And so Buddhist Biohacker was born, and the One Heart, One Earth platform was born. And it was born in March because we wanted to create resources and really put them in front of as many people as possible so that you're not on this journey alone. There's nothing worse than having an awakening and starting to see the truth about yourself and having no support. That's probably the most challenging part of any journey to self-realization. And so that's what we've been doing, and it's been amazing. And as you know, we have done 3 One Heart, One Earth Global Healing Summits so far this year, and we have a 4th one coming up in November. And my focus is really taking things out of the 3D, out of the linear. So our global summit in November, we're no longer using the word summit. So our 11D version is the November Awakening. And it happens to be election week, which it was the week that Spirit wanted us to do it. I really didn't realize when it was until after I set the dates. And I was like, oh, they love to do these during very challenging times. And the last one was during 2 eclipses and a Mercury retrograde. So it's a pretty crazy time. But we have over 35 facilitators from around the globe that are already signed up to participate in November. And the other thing that's happening with One Heart, One Earth is it's become a collaborative effort. So when you go to the website, which is oneheartoneearth.net, you actually will find, we actually have an online magazine that is articles submitted from all the different facilitators that have been part of our One Heart, One Earth summits. And I invite each and every one of you who are watching, if you have art you want to share, you have videos of teachings that you want to share, people that you want to share, articles that you've written that you want to share, your blogs, like send them in to us, because we want to fill this website with light. It's really become the container for all of us to be able to share our truth, to be able to share our teachings and our resources. And Block Therapy, of course, is one of our partners, and all of the information for Block Therapy is up there, as well as a few of our other really select partners that we wanted to work with. And so that is One Heart, One Earth. So that in itself is its own little journey. And this month, we are launching the One Heart, One Earth Global Healing Clinic. And myself and 2 other practitioners are kicking it off. And we're going to be offering affordable, accessible, holistic healthcare to anyone around the world. We're going to have the opportunity for you to donate. If you want to pay for somebody's opportunity to have healthcare, you can. And we also have a wait list and application process for everyone who wants to receive holistic support and would like to be part of that donation process. So all of that's actually launching this week, which is pretty amazing. So that's just One Heart, One Earth in itself. Like, that is its own entity. And I don't know if you want me to keep going, because I could continue to talk. I'll do it. Okay. So Buddhist Biohacker is the podcast platform. It's our YouTube channel. So all of the Global Healing Summits are on Buddhist Biohacker, and all of our shows are on there. We have 64 episodes. We're doing our 65th today at 3:00. And I have exciting news, because Spirit told me yesterday to open all of the summits. They're in a member space. They're actually being open to the public this afternoon for 30 days. So we will have these summits open from August 11th to September 11th to support all of us through this particular time of awakening. So you guys, if you want to awaken, if you want to receive Shaktipat, if you're looking for self-realization, if you want to heal your body, if you want to expand your consciousness, we have like 300 hours of content between meditations, the podcast interviews with all of the resources. Deanna's on there a couple times. We have all of the summits, all of the teachings and presentations about sustainability and movement and spirituality and lucid dreaming and shamanic work, and it goes on and on and on. So our YouTube channel, Buddhist Biohacker, is unbelievable. And we've already hit some of our milestones in the first 90 days, which is unbelievable as well. And we're currently working on creating a new platform on Vimeo for Buddhist Biohacker, so that we can protect ourselves and our work as a backup system to whatever may occur, and also to take things to the next level. So we're going to be creating almost like an online school. And that is going to be available and accessible to everyone. I mean, that's the goal, is to make it as accessible as possible. And so Buddhist Biohacker, we have anywhere from 3 to 6 podcasts every single week with different guests. We have incredible guests coming up. We have Steve Noble from the Soul Matrix who's coming on. We have Tim Sanders from Omnia coming back on to talk about the physics of the new reality. I mean, it's like an endless list. We have the meeting of the mediums coming up. And actually, tomorrow night, we have a Divine Masculine Roundtable. We have a retired NFL player from the Chargers coming on. My husband's going to be on, Satyam, who's an incredible yoga instructor. We actually have, and Donnie Dust from the show Alone. All of these men are getting together to talk about what it's like to be in the masculine form in this time of shifting to the divine feminine. It's going to be really, really incredible. So that platform is unbelievable. I love it. It's absolutely everything to me. And, the last thing I want to talk about is the documentary, because I cannot believe I made a documentary in like 90 days. I didn't know I was a movie maker, but I really, really, really love it. And I actually have another documentary I'm going to work on directly behind this one. But it's called Awakened Grace, and Deanna's story is in it, her story of awakening. And it's stories of incredible awakenings, near-death experiences, just unbelievable stories, because there's all different kinds of awakenings. Some are subtle, some are really intense, and it's really a story about the awakenings, but it's also a story of what happens after the awakenings and what's happening during this time of Great Awakening. And so there's going to be 2 versions of the documentary that's released on August 28th. We have the director's cut, which is a 2-part version that really shares more of the stories and more of the experiences. And then we have a final cut that's a shorter version that's going to be submitted to film festivals and things like that. So you'll have the option to watch both. We're going to release it on YouTube, and you guys can just go to town. And then we're going to release all of the individual interviews, so you can see the whole interview with each and every person. There were 13 people that I interviewed about their awakenings, and those will be coming out probably in September or October. I'm still in the production process with those, but I'm really excited about it. So you guys, if you haven't seen the trailer for Awakened Grace, it's right on the main. When you go to Buddhist Biohacker YouTube, it's like right at the top. And I'll actually have an updated version of that trailer going out this afternoon with our updated dates of release. But the trailer's up and you can see what it's all about. And it was fun and it was amazing. And I just still can't believe that, like, I pulled that off in the time I did with Zoom and my computer and like not really a lot of technology. So I'm hoping that down the line I'll be able to upgrade my technology. But yeah, so that's everything. I mean, that's really what's been going on. I mean, oneheartoneearth.net is our OHO site. Lisa M. Gunshore is my site, and it has all of my Ayurveda practice. It has the apparel. We just launched an apparel line, which I designed myself, which was unbelievably awesome and pretty hilarious. We have my favorite tee is this huge rainbow, because I love Rainbow Bright, and I think that there's something so magical and beautiful about rainbows. And it says, "Wake up, there's work to do." And we have t-shirts. We actually have a face covering that has the "Wake up, there's work to do. If you've got to do it, let's do it right." And we have a yoga line. We just released our first yoga outfit, but I have an entire yoga line that will be added here in the next month to that site as well. And all of the products are as sustainable as possible right now with the resources that we have. So I was really particular about what I was choosing for that as well. But everything's on lisamgunshore.com, everything from Buddhist Biohacker to the OHO links to Awakened Grace to the work that I do. So that's a lot.
That is a lot. And man, look what happens when you step into your flow. It is incredible what you've put together and all that you have done and all of the connections that you've made. And wow, Lisa, I am just so grateful, appreciative. I love you. I love what you're doing. The planet needs you, and you've stepped right up. And isn't it neat when we can use these challenging times to bring such love and devotion to the people on the planet? Because that's what we need. We need to show people that there is a different way than what we've been accustomed to and what we've been led to. And to be able to have incredibly beautiful souls like yourself opening the doors so everybody can share their light and increase vibration. And it's just so touching. And I am so incredibly honored to be part of what you're doing and to continue working with you. And wow, I'm blown away by everything you're doing. You're unbelievable. And I mean, everybody that knows you knows that, but I just needed to say it again. Like, you are truly, you're on fire, and look out, world, because the light's winning. And I'm just so thrilled for that. And I'm sure there's lots of people that have some interesting questions for you. So I don't want to take the stage away from you. Quinn, is there anything you'd like to be sharing here?
Well, this is really interesting because I haven't actually had a conversation with Lisa before, so even like to this extent. So it's really interesting to hear everything you're doing, which is blowing me away. And I am so intrigued by everything you're doing. I'm like, I need to attend these summits. Sorry, you're not using the word summit anymore, but yeah. these clinics. Sorry, because I'm like, okay, I was looking up that the other day. I'd love to hear your perspective and the perspective of other people that you really trust with this process. But we do have a question. It is an interesting question. It is taking a little bit of a step back because some people, this is new, this conversation to some people, but would you be able to define what awakened means to you from your perspective?
Oh, wow. That's such a great question. I love that question. You know, the best way I can describe an awakening, especially after spending hundreds of hours watching everyone's awakening stories, is it's really when your consciousness sees things in a more clear way. So it's like when you learn the truth about something or you recognize something within yourself. I mean, part of why self-realization is synonymous with awakening is we've all had that moment where we're like, oh man, like I'm doing that. I did this, you know, where you kind of look at yourself and you realize something, or you even as simple as realizing, gosh, I'm kind of sad. It's awakening to the truth within yourself. And when that happens, there's a process called recapitulation. And it's really, that term's used a lot in shamanic practice, but it's really the idea that all of a sudden, everything in your life suddenly is in a different order because you see things in a different way. So it's that aha moment that you have, and it can come in all sorts of forms. I mean, that's really what I wanted to show in the documentary is it's not all a near-death experience. I mean, it truly isn't. It can be as simple as you have a conversation with somebody and you have this aha moment where you realize something you didn't realize before, and it changes the direction that you're going in your life. And it also kind of puts things in order up to that point. It's like you suddenly understand the things that have happened in the past to get to where you are today. And so that's really what an awakening is. And, you know, everyone's awakening is individual, and you don't just have one. You can have awakenings. I mean, I think even now, like I'm having an awakening every single day. There's something else I learn or something else I find or something else I experience. And your consciousness just continues to expand and open, and you start to see things in a very different way. And so that's really what awakening is. It's seeing truth with a capital T, and really starting to understand and integrate that into your knowing and your being.
That's a great explanation. That's very much, I know I shared my story in your documentary, but that's how it was for me, that first awakening that I had as well. It changed my perspective on my physical body, on my suffering with my physical body. It allowed, I know you said it's not all like a near-death experience, but there's a part of the ego that dies to create space for a new part to awaken. And, you know, and then as you continue to awaken, more of the old falls away as you continue to bring more understanding for whatever it is into your awareness. So, no, that was a great explanation.
Yeah, that was very, very good. And Deanna, what you mentioned about part of like the ego dying, I've gone through many bouts and many times where the ego has to die to be able to pull something new in. It's kind of like cleaning the closet out, as we talked about with a healing crisis, to be able to put the new in. And it can be a little, not necessarily intimidating or scary, maybe the first couple times, because yes, it is something that is dying off, but with every death, there's a rebirth. And you have to understand that expanding consciousness is a wonderful thing. And that can literally be completely different from person to person, as you mentioned, Lisa. Actually, this is a really great comment we just had. The thing is, you only know what you know. You don't know what you don't know. Mm-hmm. But when you know it, but you can't unknow it. I think that's I love that. I kind of want to steal it.
I do too. That's a media post. That's awesome.
and yeah, it can come in so many different shapes and forms. If it's like a personal awakening, if it's an awakening about something you've kind of been told so many times repetitively from people that you believe that you trust in, but you've realized that that's not really the truth to me. And you realize that you have to be your own individual to be able to And I guess that's part of the awakening process, to understand that, and to get to that point. And I think once you've had that first awakening, it can have a bit of a domino effect. That's what I've noticed, because I'm currently going through one right now. I've just dove extremely heavy into meditation, and I'm learning about all different forms of healing, and how block has literally been like a perfect bridge to all of these different modalities. And that's kind of an awakening too. So I'm on my own path right now, where I don't necessarily have enough knowledge, or not necessarily knowledge, I should say experience, to really speak highly of all of this right now, or from an intellect perspective. But so far, just how I'm feeling is a bit of a different person. And it's really, really liberating, because I'm waking up happier. I'm waking up with more energy. I'm going to bed happier. I can feel my cells are a lot calmer, less anxiety, even though there's chaos going on in the world. So I think, again, that's kind of what we need to do, is just make sure that every individual can remain calm and control their own state. And I think that's probably the perfect start, is to just reflect a little more inwards and just calm down a bit. And that's what I love so much about block and meditation, is blocking. Sorry, I'm kind of diving into this meditation slightly here, but block gives me a tool to dive in if I have anxiety. But if I were just to sit there, I'm more so like bathing in my anxiety. That's my experience. So the block is something that I can feed into, lean into, have that pain that distracts me from the anxiety, so I can breathe that out. Then when I get off the block, I can sit in a meditation a lot simpler, and my head's more quiet, and then I can continue.
You're saying some things, Quinn, that are so, so, so good. And I just want to add on to that with you, and for everybody listening. First off, when you talk about your energy coming back, the thing about an awakening is, when you are living a life of half truth, it's exhausting. It's exhausting to play in the play all day and all night. So becoming authentic to yourself and really living true to yourself, and stepping out of those falsities that you're experiencing in your own individual life, it brings all that energy back. Absolutely. And it is kind of crazy. You're like a different person. And that's exactly why I created the platforms that I have, because I had to do that by myself. I definitely had support, because a lot of my support are actually on my show. But, I had to go seek out that support. And so I really wanted to kind of cut that time in half for you guys, or even more so, by saying, here's the resources. You're not alone, to support you through that journey, because you do kind of have to get back into who you actually are, now that you see the truth of who you are and what your inherent gifts and talents are, which is amazing. And then the other thing I want to say is about the block, like you're saying, is active meditation is so good for you. And, Iyengar talks about it in Light on Yoga and Light on Life. He talks about, you can't even sit and do that meditation unless you've gone through the other petals of the yoga, the lotus, in yoga. And so, the block is that way. Like when I practice on my block, it's like I can just go right into a trance state. And for me, I'm a trance channel. So I've been practicing meditation and trance work for more than 20 years. And there's something different about really being able to work the physical piece and bring you into that meditative state. So that's one of the tools, it's one of the tools to help get you there. And because we have experienced so much trauma, we have so much happening in our planet that's kind of coming at us, moving that trauma out of the body physically is going to give you that easeful space to be able to meditate. So it's really good points that you're bringing up. I love it.
Thank you.
And it is just about that, creating that space. People don't it's so interesting when you really start to understand this fascia system and how adhesions will hold negative trauma, memories from the past, even potentially past lifetimes. in the structure of the fascia and the magnetics that are binding the whole thing together, and to be able to get in and physically open up those spaces, it creates this opportunity for absolute release of all of it. And that's why I think the block is so great. I mean, we come at it from a very physical perspective, but when you start to dive in, you see how profound it is to realign those cells, how to feed areas of your body that has not had that lighter love feeding into it. So then you start to awaken other parts of you. And it's kind of funny because I kind of see it a little bit like, you know, like that, the path of falling in love, you know, it's exciting, it's tumultuous, it's terrifying, but it's so worth it. And it's kind of like falling in love with yourself over and over and over again, because you keep discovering these parts of yourself that are here to give you information to thrive and to support and protect you through this lifetime, so you can be the creative individual that you are and share your gifts with humanity, and to continue to walk on that path. It's like you get to always find something new within yourself to fall in love with. And then when we start doing that and we send that loving frequency through us, we don't need to rely on other measures to be healthy. It's that frequency that, you know, keeps this immune system of ours vibrating at the level that is stronger than anything else. And I think one of the things that I'm really focused on doing is teaching people how to trust their bodies, because when we can trust the breath, trust the body to do what it's supposed to do, fear is out of the picture. And then we make choices that are appropriate for us each and every moment, as opposed to resorting in fear and making choices from that place, which will never lead us in a healthy direction.
Agreed.
100%. I love how you said that as well. You just keep falling in love with yourself more and more, kind of with each awakening as you unblock more areas of your body. And that's kind of exactly what I've been experiencing. That sang true to me there a lot. We do have quite a few questions. I'm going to combine some of these together. Lisa, what is your favorite part about using your block, and how can block therapy assist in the awakening process? I guess that's a both you and Deanna question, and we kind of touched into that, but yeah, if you'd like to elaborate a bit.
Oh gosh. So I love digging into my body. Like, I love it. And when I haven't done it for a few days, I can definitely, like, I feel it today. I was saying, like, I love it. But one of the things that really is incredible is the link to my Tibetan shamanic practice and block therapy. And that's really what I love about it. And to give context to that, what I would say is I have been working on purifying my genetic structures for probably, well, since 2011. So it's been almost a decade of work on my genetic structure. I've done genome analysis. I love the biohacking community, all of the information, epigenetics, Dr. Ben Lynch, dirty genes, all of those things. And what has happened is I have completely cured all of my issues. And I mean, all of them. I had issues with my nervous system, they're gone. I had Hashimoto's, it's gone. I've lost 100 pounds, and there's like a much, much longer list. I'm rarely sick, if at all, and my immune system is nice and strong. And so I went through this journey spiritually to heal my karma and my lineage. And what happened was it brought up all these health crises, which is part of that initiation of awakenings for some of us. And within that, I started studying the links to our ancestry and our bone structure and our cellular structure. And so what's absolutely mind-blowing and incredible is when I met Rachel and she connected me to Deanna and I found out about block therapy, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is the physical practice to release our trauma, because our trauma, not just from this life, but from every single generation, all of the lineage that we've incarnated in is kept in our fascia and in our bone structure. And so by using this block, this is my favorite part of the block, is for me, it's actually a clairvoyant meditation. When I go into my block practice and I dig that block into certain parts of my body, I'm actually seeing what I'm purifying, what lifetimes, what ancestors, what energy. And I actually have my family tree. I have like over 1,400 ancestors on my family tree because I'm so grateful that my mom and my uncle have kept track of everyone on Ancestry.com of all places. And so I actually moved through each one of those ancestors and their karma through my body and through the block. So that's actually, to answer what my favorite part is being able to purify that energy in a very physical way, which for me and my personality is like everything. I just love it. And, you know, that is probably the most important thing to me. And then on a side note, the physical note is, you know, my family naturally hunch, we have tight hamstrings, we have a lot of back issues in our family. So to be able to sit up straight, to be able to see the crookedness in my back straighten out, to be able to do a downward dog as a yoga instructor without having to bend my knees or be in an awkward position, those are all benefits too.
Love that. Love that. And so Allison has been asking these questions, who's amazing. And she just mentioned this should be taught in schools. We would have been a much more balanced society, and it would be a completely different world. It would be completely different than what we're experiencing right now. And I think we're kind of in that process right now of making a lot of changes, and who knows what the future is going to really hold for when we clean up. So there are more questions. Deanna, is there anything you want to add?
I just want to add that I think that that's exactly right. We are at the point now where, and that's the beauty of this time too, because before things were not aligned for this. Suddenly, you know, as part of the world is falling into a destructive pattern, it's everything is equal and opposite. So the other part of the world is awakening to a constructive pattern, and it starts with the kids. I mean, the kids today, we've talked so much about the posture of the youth, the issues of the youth, and they have a right to live their life in a world that's full of love and opportunity and joy. And that's what we need to do, is we need to get people into all of this so that we can bring our future forward and have a blast together, and, you know, overcome all of the trauma and all of the negative conditioning that has just simply been part of our history. And that is what is so exciting about this time. I mean, I went to the Prophets Conference in 2000, and that was the first time I saw Greg Braden speak. James Redfield who wrote The Celestine Prophecy, the first book that awakened me. And they were saying that, you know, this is the most amazing time in human history, because every single soul that is here chose this time to create a positive change. And the thing about it was, they said, if you looked at a woman in labor and didn't know she was giving birth, you might think she's dying. And that's what we're in right now. So if you look at it from the perspective of fear, you might think that's where we're headed. If you look at it from the perspective of where we're actually heading, it is so incredibly exciting. And then all of the other stuff, you know, it falls away, just like those awakenings. You have to let something go to create space for something new. And there's so many ways to do that. And for us, Block is the tool that we are sharing so that people have a very physical way to access this. But again, there's multiple ways. And that's the beauty of Lisa. She's bringing all of this together so that people can access it from whatever position or place is relevant in that moment. So there's bridges coming all together. And yeah, that's all I have to say.
100%.
I'm just so excited.
Me too. And even what you mentioned, like, a lot of people are viewing this from a state of fear, which I initially did. I'm not going to hide that. And it's just been a stressful time for us, even before this happened. So it just felt like, Deanna, we've kind of been like in this little war for a while. And it's like, okay, we've kind of like surrendered a bit, and now a whole like new war of the world has just like hit. And I'm like, I'm exhausted. I'm scared. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. Like, what's really going on? But again, that whole comment you made about giving birth can seem like someone dying. I think that was just maybe a part of my ego dying because you were so excited. You're like, wow, no, I'm like excited to start like sharing and opening up and really healing the planet. I'm like, and then at the same time, it was just perfect timing. I started really diving more into meditation, more into like myself awakening. And then I'm like, wow, I've never felt so good in my life. I'm feeling like a totally different person and I am so ready. So I love that. And yeah, people need to find what works for them to awaken. And again, the block is a great tool. There's so many different modalities, and even just following Lisa's links, you're going to learn so much about her. But we talked slightly about children, and this is another good question. Do you think children are more awake than adults? And I think that's a
question.
bit of it.
You want to take that, Lisa? You go ahead.
Yeah. So I would say it all depends, you know. I think it's really an individual experience. I will say that children don't have the programming and the imprints on them as they come into the world, but they do come in with their own karma and their own challenges and their own life experiences. So it really is individual. But what I can say is, you know, children are very open, and there's a lot of research on the brain and what they're able to understand and take in and what they see and feel up until about the age of 6 or 7. And so I think what I want to say about that is, you know, little kids are so open and so vulnerable. And it's so important that as parents, we protect them and that we give them space to be creative and to use their imagination and to play and to come up with ideas and, you know, to encourage them to be open to their ideas, you know, and to color and to paint and to get outside in nature and to allow them to really explore who they are. Because if they're able to do that, then they can step into their youth and their teen years in a space where they're more comfortable with who they are, they're more authentic, and they're not afraid to be who they are. So, you know, there's a book out there, The Artist's Way, which is great for adults, but there is The Artist's Way for parents. And it really talks about how to cultivate key values with your kids. And it's beautiful and it's amazing. And it's a fun way to understand your own values through activities and practices with your kids. And so that is what I want to say. But Deanna, what do you want to say about that?
Well, I'm just really excited because what we're going to be focusing on in the fall is really ramping up the work with the kids that we're doing. And one of the things that I've really observed in the last decade, at least, is that kids are being born today without that diaphragmatic breath. And that to me is the biggest concern, but it's also the simplest thing to correct when you get them at baby. So what we're going to be adding is showing parents how to hold the kids so that we can heat up the rib cage. Their bodies want to be right. You know, that's part of this whole thing too. Our body is designed to work a specific way. If it's not working properly, it's because we haven't done for the fascia system, for our heart, for all of those things, what is necessary to thrive. So, and when we're locked away in that magnetic contraction, we don't understand how to release that. So that's where the work is that I'm really taking. I'm first going to be sharing with parents how to get their babies to start breathing. And that in itself, I mean, if you have a baby who's not sleeping, who's not digesting well, who's struggling, it's largely because they're not feeding their body properly with oxygen. So they're not able to grow and develop the way that they need to. So their bodies are in this internal war. And so we're going to be sharing lots of great information about that as well. You know, as you said, like 6 years, 7 years old, if we can get kids before that. So we have a block for kids program, and we're going to be adding a lot more to that as well. But there is that period of time from baby until the child is old enough to be able to do the work, where I want to also add in teaching parents how to use their hands. And that's a nice lead in because it's all about understanding pressure in your body. So if you understand pressure first with the hand, then it's a very natural process to suddenly lie on the block and experience that pressure inside. And what we can do with kids, because they're less affected by gravity. There's fewer adhesions that have come as a result of gravity, but we're also dealing with a breath that isn't working the same as when I was a child. So there's a couple of, dynamics to that, but we can turn that around. And that's why I've been driven to do this for so long. And it's funny because the timing simply wasn't right before it has to come first through the parent to get the child there. So we've been focusing on building block therapy and our member site, and it's basically for adults and, young adults, but now is the time that we really focus on the kids. We make sure that they're moving forward in their body, in their health, in this world, in the most productive way, because we got a lot of work to do. And we need those little geniuses to wake up and innovate and create whatever is needed to handle the multiple problems that we're going to be facing, but in an exciting way, because they'll be centered and grounded and excited to see. And we already know how fast the planet is regenerating because everybody's slowed down. Same with the body. When we slow down and we give ourselves love and attention, we regenerate really, really quickly. And we just don't see it because we haven't, until now, slowed down enough to really connect to the breath and to connect to what is truly important. And when you get all of the noise out of the way, you see what's important. And I'm seeing that in Winnipeg, where every single day I'm blown away by how many more families are on bikes and people are stopping and talking, and people are becoming more relational with each other again. And just the conversations and the kindness that I'm seeing just randomly all over the place. It's so exciting because I believe 100% that we're not going into that devastation, destruction place. We are waking up, and we are going to have the experience of this life as being something different than we've ever felt, but something I think every person from the base of their soul has always wanted to see. And that's why I'm just so thrilled. And it's really all about connecting with people like you and sharing information and just being here to support everybody on their own awakenings.
So beautiful.
100%. And I think everybody, it's a two-sided coin. I hope I'm using that in the right sentence here. But what I'm meaning by that is people can calm down. The whole world has slowed down a lot, and some people can fall into the trap of fear, and then other people can fall into the liberating awakening. And I think that's where it comes down to each individual. And we've already talked about this, but again, that's kind of the best start. And this is going to lead into a question that's asked for you, Lisa. So you offer so many amazing programs. Which one would you recommend to start with?
Oh gosh, that's tough. You know what? I think the best place to start is the Buddhist Biohacker episode list, because there's so many different modalities and tools and people on that list that I think just by flipping through the titles, you'll be able to see what resonates with you and start watching. That said, if you really want to create a retreat for yourself, you really want to unplug, this is what I would recommend, honestly, because I'm opening up all the summits today. It's happening today. And it's 111 hours of content, you guys. It's huge. And there's 3 of them. So here's what I would recommend is this is the time to unplug from the media, the television, just all of the programming energy that's out there. Just unplug from all the noise, get yourself into your own space, and create a retreat for yourself. One of the weekends, or depending on your schedule, maybe it's weekdays, but give yourself a couple of days to yourself between now and September 11th. Unplug. Pick one or all of the One Heart, One Earth Global Healing Summits to watch. And the first one is all about releasing fear, connecting with the shadow, lucid dreaming, healing meditations. I actually have a few practices in there to activate your immunity spiritually, to open up your genetic structures, and also to work with the grid around the planet. So there's soul retrieval. I mean, there's so many things. So that's the first summit. The second summit is all about movement. This is the one that Deanna and Quinn were in. There's yoga, there's block therapy, there's yoga therapy, there's all of this incredible movement and breath work, and that's available and accessible to really move your body. And then the third summit is another just potent summit about how to create a sustainable future. So there's tools and resources about, you know, real sustainability and practices you can put into place. And then there's also, you know, workshops and presentations about sustainability as far as, you know, connecting with your gifts and talents and being able to stand in your truth. So you could really create this powerful, massive retreat for yourself away from everything else. You will have an awakening if you do that. There's like no way around it. You will receive so much Shakti from everyone who has participated in these summits that it's like unbelievable. And so I would start by just watching some of the shows and connecting in with that information. But then you can really create a retreat for yourself, you know, at home that's completely free to be able to access yourself, to get grounded in who you are. And then it will be so clear what your next steps are. You're going to know exactly what modalities you want deeper training in. You're going to know if you want to order a block. You're going to want to know if, you know, you need to take somebody's yoga class. You're going to know if you need to do shadow work. Like, you're going to understand what to do next because you're going to have those tools. And in fact, it's such a great question that this person asked that I think that that's exactly what I'm going to detail when I post this out today and let people know this is accessible, is to create this space. These resources are so important. Like, it is a literal gold mine spiritually on Buddhist Biohacker. And I watch my own shows when Quinn, you were talking about being like afraid. Oh my gosh, I think we've all had that moment where we're like, oh my God, what is happening in our world? And when I get that way, I watch my own shows, you guys. Like, I'm like, oh, I just need to connect in with like, oops, my microphone, but I just need to connect in with like, you know, the people that I love and that I've met, and that they have these incredible resources and tools, and the Shakti, the energy of the teachings, they don't diminish. So it doesn't really matter if it's a recording. It doesn't really matter if you're watching it, you know, 3 months later. And so that's where I would start. I would really start with just kind of going in and sorting out, you know, where you're at in your process of awakening, because we're all in one, and start to understand the tools. But creating a retreat for yourself would be like the most beautiful thing you can do, because, and in fact, you know, I was thinking about that for my own self this week when I was thinking of opening the summits. And the reason I'm opening them up is because the money part doesn't really matter to me. I want us to be supported. We have 6 weeks of really intense planetary energy upon us. We're in it. We're in the thick of it. And this is the time to have those resources so that you know what to do, and you have the tools to manage your own fear, your own pain, your own suffering, your own overwhelm, and are also in turn able to help this planet so that we can go forward, so that we can go into the new reality with love and light. Like, this is it. This is the exciting moment we all have been waiting for. Like, here it is. And so learn as much as you possibly can so that you can do as much as you possibly can that you were meant to do. We all have a soul purpose, and you cannot live in that soul purpose. You cannot be your soul purpose and really embody it until you get all the garbage out of the way. And that's what these tools are about. That's what the block's about. That's what shadow work's about. That's what any meditation practice is about. It's about releasing the baggage, releasing all the garbage out of your space so you can just be your light.
And I think that's part of what people are afraid of, because you know, when you have this understanding that, okay, so I'm going to be pulling up all my garbage, there's a lot of us that have a lot of shame and guilt around that garbage. So I think some people have the sense that they have to live through it again. And what is so apparent to me is that it's completely not that. There's no judgment in the releasing. The soul doesn't, all of the things that, I mean, I have so many things I've done in this lifetime that, you know, there has been shame and judgment around, but it is also what brought me to this moment to be able to share what I'm doing. And I remember the moment when I looked back on that younger version of myself, and I actually fell in love with that sick, contracted ego, because I got it. It was like, wow. And it was so exciting, because it wasn't like I was in pain going through the process of letting it go. It was just, I was stuck there. And then suddenly I had another awakening, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to love that person that was so sick and contracted, because that is where this birthed from. So it's neat, because there isn't that judgment when we're doing that release work. It's simply clearing space so that we can see and feel the light. And for as much as everything is shifted into this very negative space, everything is equal and opposite. We're balanced, right? So it's not like before we might have gone to here. Now we're kind of over here, but that also means that on the light side, we all get to go that far as well. And we get to feel things in that much more exciting level. And again, I just kind of equate it to, falling in love. It is like that's such a physical thing that hopefully everybody has at least had the experience of feeling at least once. And we long for that feeling, but through these awakenings, we can continue to feel that without needing some external individual to sense that within ourselves. And that's the beauty of it. It's so much fun. And I'm so excited for everybody that's listening to you, that is going to take you up on what you're suggesting, because all of these souls are going to come at the world from a very different place. And that's what we're here to do, is just be the best versions of ourselves and have a blast doing it.
Agreed. So agree.
It's going to be so exciting for everyone to come in and dive in. And it's really interesting. We haven't talked at all about doing really anything external to heal the body. And what I mean by that is, it doesn't necessarily, like, we're so, I don't want to necessarily use the word brainwashed, but we're so brainwashed to rely on something else, or to eat certain foods to heal the body, when we know that we have the innate ability to heal. It's within us. We all have it. And that's something that I'm really starting to learn now, because block therapy is something that we're physically doing, but we're doing it on ourselves. Meditation is something you can be guided through it, but you're still doing it to yourself. And this is the best I've ever felt. And it's from connecting the dots, because my body, my metabolism, certain areas can be so-called really healthy from some perspectives, but I knew my mind wasn't as healthy as it should have been. And when I started to realize that through a self-awareness process and being introspective and really meditating on, like, how am I treating myself? How am I treating others? What's my perspective on everything coming in? And when you start to realize that and focus on it, it's not necessarily ugly in the moment. Maybe it is initially, but you realize when you release that and you're like, wow, I'm a human. This is part of the whole process. You let it go, and then you're able to make a change every single day. You can make a decision every single day to be different, to change, to awaken more. And then, hey, we're all going to go through processes of like having a hiatus from doing either block therapy or whatever we're wanting to do. Again, part of being human. So just understand that it's not going to be a perfect linear path either. There's going to be times of discomfort, times of frustration, times where like, oh, that didn't work how I thought. That's part of the process. If it was a perfect straight line, that kind of takes the fun away from it. Every person's journey is going to be different. And I don't know what other people have gone through. I know what I've gone through. And it's all about reflecting inwards and healing, and then finding what your true calling is for right now to heal yourself. And then once you heal yourself, that's when you can start helping other people as well. So that's kind of my perspective on it as well.
So well said.
And are
there any more questions, Quinn?
We have comments and questions here. Hi, Lisa. Thank you so much for sharing. Your gifts are fascinating and so necessary during this time. Thank you for sharing your description of an awakening. I have a much better understanding now. It has been a pleasure to learn about all that you do. Thank you, Fascia Masters. Today's discussion was an incredible learning experience. Another one, Lisa, so grateful you are leading and helping make the change needed for our planet. Fear,
Sweet.
fear, face everything and rise. I was afraid to do the online certification, but I'm so glad I did. It was the best decision ever. Yeah, lots of amazing comments and questions here. Agree so much with your comments, Deanna, regarding kids and their lack of diaphragmatic breathing, kids and dealing with more anxiety, and that leads to ADHD, ADD. And with the focus of the block and the touch, this will be amazing. I'm so excited and have so much passion now for helping them too, because they're here for a reason. And when you understand and learn that, they're still faced with a lot of external weird fears of the planet. But if we can unlock their diaphragm and bring them back and get them at that young age, they're going to be the ones ruling the world from a much higher frequency, vibration, and intention. Here, this is pretty cool. Remember the old TV show called Romper Room? I personally don't, but it would be cool if Deanna had her own short TV show for kids. Maybe call it Blocker Room, a daily blocking practice for kids.
Oh, cool. Thank you. Who's that from?
Brilliant. Oh, one sec. Sorry, it just skipped on me. Allison Ryback.
Oh, Allison, we got to connect. We got to chat about this.
No kidding. I love it. I love it.
Nice.
We are only here because of where we have come from. And then Rachel, thank you so much. You just posted Lisa's YouTube channel again there. So yeah, if anybody wants to get right to Lisa's channel, click on that link. If you are watching the recording on YouTube, we will have it pasted below in the description. But as of right now, that is all of the questions and comments for now.
So Lisa, this has been an absolutely epic conversation. I am so just vibrating. We will have many, many, many more of these conversations. We have a lot to cover and we're just touching the surface. Do you have any last words for everybody that's with us today?
Oh gosh. Well, I would say yes. Thank you for having me here today. And I agree. It's just the beginning of all of our journey together. And there's so much interwoven between all of the different practices that we're doing that it's incredible. And I just can't wait to see how it unfolds because I think there's so much there. And to everybody who's listening, don't be afraid, when you're feeling, sad, dig the knife in deeper, and when you're feeling scared, sit in the dark. Because when you turn out the lights and you really sit in the darkness, spirit is right there with you. And suddenly you can see all of the interdimensional beings, all of the angels and guides and teachers that are supporting you. They're right there with us. And this is only the beginning of the most incredible decade that we have ever lived on the planet Earth. And we are here for it. And we not only chose to come here, but many of us were deployed here to be a part of this. And this is it. This is the time of the Great Awakening. And I couldn't be happier. And it doesn't matter how many hours I work. It doesn't matter if I can't do my hair. All that matters is that we are able to unite together, that we release separation, that we unify, and that we share equal and unconditional love for every single sentient being that exists on the planet, from the plants and the animals to the human beings. And I just love everyone. I love each and every one of you, and I'm honored to be here. And please, please, please get on the documentary train. We're going to be releasing it. I'm dying for this to go viral because it's about awakenings. And the more people that watch this, the more awakenings that will happen. So just share it absolutely with everybody. And there will be more to come out on my social media in the next few days about the release of that. So thank you, Deanna and Quinn. I mean, really, it's an honor to be here. Thank you for giving me space to share what we're doing because it's so amazing.
Well, God bless you. Keep on moving forward, as I know you will.
We can't stop this freight train now.
Too much momentum. There's way too much momentum, and it's amazing to see. And Lisa, again, I've learned so much from you. I can't wait to learn a lot more from you. I am going to be following a lot of what you do, and it's just been a pleasure to communicate with you and have this awesome discussion. So I just got even more motivated. It's amazing. I'm having another awakening. They happen every day, just as you said. So I think this has really helped so many people and just calm people down a little bit too, so that they can sit with themselves. They can make a decision if they're ready. And I think everybody is ready. You have to make that decision, and that conscious decision that, okay, now is the time. There's no better time than now. And we always say that. So that's everything from me. So we're going to wrap this up. This is going to be uploaded to our YouTube channel if you're watching this right now. Thank you so much. To learn more about Lisa, everything is going to be in the description below. Her links, her YouTube channel, her website, her social media, so that you can continually follow her. And that's everything. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to join us. This has been a pleasure.
Thank you so much.